reading from the article that is coming. That's what at least one financial expert is saying. Charles Brown of CB3 Financial says,
one of the brilliant moves that Kmart has done is to partnership with Facebook in these e-gift certificates, so you can actually...
Of government mismanagement. Charles Brown is the president of CB3 Financial Group. He joins us this morning from Chicago.
Significantly dropping. Basically, this is the year of the consumer.
Believe that they're capable of managing anything?
Well, it's sort of like handing the keys to the chicken coop to two wolves. Good evening, everyone. From Chicago, it's Thursday, May 28th. This is CB3 CMT Live. We are so glad you're here tonight. We have a fantastic show for you tonight. Lots of great economic news. Just real excited to tell you that. And a wonderful guest that I have known for 40 years, an engineer who teaches at the University of Cincinnati, and he's going to tell us about what he's experiencing with the teaching changes with COVID-19 at UC, as well as his other business. So it's going to be a great night. While we wait for people to log in, as you guys probably remember, I like to just go through a few little funny lines here. But before I do, my opening mantra remains the same. Adversity is inevitable, but misery is a choice. Adversity is inevitable, but misery is a choice. And here at CB3 CMT Live, we choose to be upbeat and positive, to have faith and believe in this country, because we are coming back from this terrible COVID-19. America reopens. That is our theme tonight. I really like this. If you have young children and you need a project to keep them busy, I don't know about your house, but in our house, we never can match the lids with the Tupperware bottom. So there's a constructive idea. Send your tips my way as a thank you for that. Here's one. A man said, I have the most loving wife. Last night I woke up and she was holding a pillow tightly over my face just to protect me from COVID-19. Right. This is my situation. Anyone else's car besides me getting 3 weeks to the gallon at the moment? Seems like we're hardly driving. We have two cars and I don't remember the last time. We just had to start the second one because we're hardly going anywhere. 17 people in Chicago died this past Memorial Day weekend. They died from COVID-19 related gunshot wounds. I'm thinking they're probably going to be voting by mail in November. What do you think if you're from Chicago? This one's my favorite though. Teenager says he's going to ask his mom, is that offer to slap me into the middle of next year still on the table? All right, guys. All right, I'm going to look in my thread here, let a few more people get on. And hey, Nellie in Atlanta. Hey, Chris. All right. All right, guys, we got a lot to go through here, and I'm excited. CoronAmerica, tonight's guest, the U.S. economy, our investments, and some new investment ideas. So what do we have? CoronAmerica, here are the numbers. 5.7 million cases worldwide, 356,000 deaths. That's a lot. Compared to other situations with heart attacks and cancer, it's in line. It's not really an aberration. In the U.S., 1.7 million. We just crossed 100,000 deaths. It's 100,000 lives that are going to be dearly missed. They are. There's no question about that. But we must move on. All 50 states have taken steps to reopen. Georgia was first. We have a Georgian on the line. Maybe she's going to give us some feedback on that tonight. And if you look at the map here, if you see the shaded yellow, those are states that are opening by region, meaning they've got big cities or they feel more confident opening up the smaller, less populated counties first. There's only one state that's closed, and it's New Jersey. Who knows why they're taking that position, but basically very different from when I started doing these on March 19th. We are opening up America, and it's a good thing. This is one of those graphs I've told you in the past. You like to see some graphs going up. You like to see some going down. This is one we want to still keep seeing going down. These are weekly unemployment claims. And yes, those little blue bars are what a normal unemployment report is like. The huge ones are what has happened since we got data beginning the middle of March. And yes, they're stratospheric. The first week was almost 7 million claims. And they're still in the millions, although this very latest week was just a little over 2 million, which I know is a stratospheric number. Nonetheless, we're going down, meaning less and less people every week, and that is a positive. Silicon Valley is realizing that their next big idea, and all of us go, yeah, really? We knew that. Work from anywhere, work from home. Doesn't have to be WFH. It can be work from anywhere you are. Just don't work in our building. All right? And Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, is saying we are going to have a substantially remote workforce over the next decade. So he's looking at 10 years here, basically reconfiguring the company to make it possible for people to work remotely. Now, not every job can do this. Obviously, a waitress can't do it. And many other industries, but for the industries that can, this is something new in America. So what has the sentiment been for Americans? Well, let's look at this chart. So how has having remote workers with your organization, so this is a question asked of the business owners, how has that functioned during this crisis compared to your expectations? So you're asking the business owner, well, 25% say much better than expected, 31% somewhat better, 35% much better, okay, I'm sorry, as expected, but only 9% were disappointed. What this tells me is the CEOs were going, gosh, this is better than we thought it was. All right, so what have the workers thought about working from home? What's been the biggest benefits to them? Without a doubt, almost half of them said no commute. For those of us that live in big cities, not having a commute is a big deal. Reduced number of meetings, and you can see the numbers really close there. Yes, you can get zoomed out, and it's just my opinion. I said this to somebody else. I forget who it was. Zoomed out may be the next new word in the dictionary when they round up the words this year. Less distractions, increased productivity, greater autonomy. Nothing has worked well. Less than 2% of workers that have been mandated to work at home are saying, I don't like this. So let me pause here and give you guys a chance to respond. Now, those of you that have been with us for a while, we had those polls on Facebook. We haven't quite figured that out in this new technology. So I'm just going to ask you, if you have had to work at home over the last few months, how was that experience for you? If it was a good experience, would you like to continue to work from home after COVID-19 is essentially resolved? So I'm going to give you guys a minute to type that in. And if you want, you can mention a neighbor or a family member. Maybe you've got some feedback on them. Hey, Jimmy, good to see you. I know some people right here in this chat that had to work from home and have now gone back to work on site. And I'm just wondering what that's like for anybody. Speak up, guys. I want to give you a chance to express yourselves here. Anybody in the chat? I see a financial advisor that's mostly been working from home. Yeah, okay, good. And you want to go back, or do you want to keep working mostly from home? All right, good, but I missed my standing desk. Does that mean that you stood up your desk? Okay, I got it here. It's been a good experience overall, but I miss seeing people, says Josh in North Carolina. Yeah, I got that. It's not quite the same seeing them on Zoom, right? So, all right. Love working from home. Yeah, I'm going to give that a smiley face. So, with Merck, work from home, but design consultant must be in the office. Yeah, I get it. So, all right, guys, thanks for the feedback. Let's look at some good data here. So these are the requests. This comes from Apple. You don't see this stuff in the media because, I'm sorry, but the general media doesn't want to give you the good news. These are the requests for directions, and it's straight from Apple. Look at the spike. Now, granted, we're down 21% from a year ago, but we're rising off the lows from April. Okay. And we're getting requests for walking, for transit. That's a good number for walking. I think you're going to see less mass transit for people. I mean, here in Chicago, we're kind of concerned about the trains because it's been the heartbeat of the whole transportation system, and yet people don't want to be on there. Disney, Florida. We got some Florida people online. I think we got people from 4 time zones. I'm looking through here. Disney's going to reopen July 11th. Now, limited attendance. We're already seeing in Shanghai, it's like at 30% of what their normal capacity is. I don't know what Florida's going to be, but in July, I'll be telling you that. And some plexiglass barricades. You're seeing those kind of plexiglass barricades already in the grocery stores. You're seeing them in the checkouts at Costco. You're seeing them in the gyms, the few gyms that are open, just basically trying to put up a barrier so that no moisture particles get conveyed. The truth is, though, once we figure this out, the coronavirus doesn't have to be so deadly. It wasn't in Hong Kong and Singapore. And that's because they tested early, they tested widely, and they treated patients early. We really were just not experienced enough in this kind of pandemic to know what to do. I mean, the more time that goes on, candidly, I think we're going to be studying this for 10 to 15, 20 years. This is one of the defining moments in American history. And we're going to learn from other nations. They're going to learn from us and the R&D that has happened incredibly fast in just a few weeks. So here's another case. This is some new data that I just got today. I'm going to look at Andre first here. Already work from home on occasion, and it's always nice. Mostly at the office. Okay, got it. How long is your commute, Andre? Type that in while I'm talking here. 96% of the COVID-19 fatalities in Italy had other chronic illnesses. Now, Italy's pretty compact. Their medical system is nowhere near as strong as the U.S.'s. But according to a report from their National Health Authority, and that's in the Breitbart report down at the bottom, most people had 2 or more serious chronic illnesses. So only 4% of fatalities tested had the absence of serious, here's the word of the day, comorbidities. Okay, that's when you have 2 different causes for death. The average death was 80 plus. So this disease, as we all know, picks on the elderly and those that are already ill. And those people certainly need to be screened and kept away from the public. But again, not necessarily all the people in the public have to be kept away. This is what we're learning over time. Every week there's some bit of news to advance the story. Now, I've been telling you guys, I'm excited about this, that there's going to be innovation. So here's the problem. You're wearing a mask, you got an iPhone 11, and you put the facial recognition up, and it doesn't work. So some company has just released in the last 7 to 10 days a mask for your mask so you can trick the phone into seeing your eyes accurately and log into your phone. Now, this product never existed before March 1st. We're talking 2 months ago, and this is already in production. Here's another one. Whenever I put on my mask, wrap it around here, my glasses fog up. Maybe you're younger and you don't have to wear glasses, but I have to wear glasses. And so now there's this device where you put it on, you put this little yellow piece on, then you put your glasses on, and it keeps your glasses from fogging up. Again, none of these products, none of them existed even 2 months ago. This is the ingenuity about America that excites me. This is the optimism about America that excites me. All right, so when people have to delay payments, what does this mean? So most likely is going to be rent. You can see utilities, auto, cable, internet. But the expectation that you're going to have to reduce a payment or skip a payment has ended up being greater than what was actually skipped. In other words, people receive these emails, hey, if you need to miss a payment, it's okay. We won't hit you with a penalty. You still have to pay the interest, like on a mortgage. People had the anticipation, so they were polled in one instance, what percent's likely, what percent's very likely. Well, there's a pretty big gap between that. So in reality, people did not need to use that privilege, if you will, in the way that they thought they were going to. So I'm just reminding you that 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu pandemic. It had 2 cycles to it. Now, we don't know if there's going to be a second cycle here, but with America and the world knowing that there was a second cycle about 18 to 19 months later, I am certain that no one who is alive and working in the medical field is going to let this just stand by and not address this. I have to believe that there is some serious R&D going on right now into what has to happen to keep a second outburst from happening. Even back then, they were wearing masks. Nothing's changed in 100 years, and eventually they took off their mask and the Roaring '20s happened, and the rest is history. Rest is history. COVID-19 will be the biggest political divide in our history because it's no longer a medical story. It's a huge political divide. We have states that are red states that are opening up. We have blue state governors that don't want to open up. The governor of California is one of them. The mayor of Los Angeles finally came on just 2 days ago and said, well, I'm being forced into this, but we're going to open up everything. So that's where we are on this. We'll continue to see it evolve over time. Let me check my my message here, okay? I see what's going on. Can you imagine how miserable it will be that we're an ear mask in Florida in July? That is true, Nellie. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Apple's changing their software. Yeah, they just put out a new release for their OS. I saw that. What's the mother of invention? Well, necessity is the answer there. Jimmy, thank you for that. That's actually a phrase by Frank Zappa, oddly enough. Necessity is the mother of invention. Apple's latest corrected facial recognition with a mask on. Yeah, that's good. Believe it prompts you to ask your password, but the Face ID still doesn't work. Okay. Well, you guys are probably more up on it than I am. I think the bottom line is, though, that innovation is here, and it's pretty exciting. Okay. Tonight's guest. Now, it's rare when you have a friend of more than 40 years that you can bring on a program. But Jay Petak is somebody I've known since the 70s. Jay has an engineering degree, and he used it only enough to get him through school. And then he became a recording engineer, which is how he and I met. And he had a great career doing that. And rather than retire, he's like me. Even though I'm in the business where I coach people to retirement, I don't want to retire myself because I love doing what I do. Jay has 2 different gigs here in retirement. He's going to tell us about that. But before he did these 2 gigs, Jay, as I said, worked in a recording studio. And look at these film credits. I mean, Jay has done sound design, sound editing, sound transformation, all kinds of stuff. He's had an illustrious career for sure. But before that career, look at this. Can you pick us out in the picture? This is Jay and I, Dr. J, as I call him, circa 1977, playing in our band together. And the reason I call him Dr. J is because one of his biggest jingle clients used to say, you make everything perfect. You must be the good doctor of jingle music. So when I think about a guest for my program, the truth is I don't just want to be with someone. I want to be with someone I want to be with. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Jay Petak.
Hey, thanks, CV. This is yours. This is your demo from 1983.
Oh, my gosh.
This whenever I buy a new tape recorder, I use this to check and make sure it works.
And the tape's still working.
It does. It works great.
So tell us what your 2 jobs entail. They seem very different, obviously. I mean, I've known you forever. Nobody's here knows you. But what's your background and training from all those years ago that enable you to do what you're doing now and have a good time in your retirement doing it? Yeah.
Well, I worked in recording studios all my life, ever since college, and I've owned a studio for over 30 years, too. I don't own it anymore, thank goodness. But, I taught at University of Cincinnati at the very beginning of my career. I got a call one night and said, hey, you available? I said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I did that, and I did it for about 8 years. And then when we opened the studio, I wanted to devote all of my time to the studio because I didn't want to go bankrupt. So I didn't have time to teach again until we saw the kind of decline in business started to happen about 2006 or so. There's a trend down, and by 2009, I said, oh yeah, I'm ready to do this again. So I took a job. I started teaching at the University of Cincinnati again, and I've been doing it ever since. It's been great. Now the other gig, where I archive a lot of old media like this. This is a Dictabelt. This was it's plastic actually, but it's like a one-off record. And one of the jobs I actually transferred, Rod Serling, who recorded a lot of his screenplays on things like this. He was dictating it for his transcriptionist, and this is before the days of word processing. So he had to dictate all the punctuation and everything. Wow. But we've done things, cassette. That's a micro cassette, but then regular cassettes and reels, of course. Even digital media like mini discs. And you would think, well, this is digital, but every medium becomes obsolete at some point. Sure. I tell people don't be too excited about any new media because it's going to go away. DVDs. There's one company that they wanted all their DVDs transferred to something else. Another company wanted their materials transferred to DVD. And they said, DVDs are not going to be around forever.
I mean, even we have expiration dates, right? So
yeah.
It shouldn't be a surprise. How has COVID-19 then affected both of these businesses?
Okay,
but let's start with the transfer and archiving. You've got all this equipment in back. Maybe give everybody a quick tour.
I'm already quarantined, and I that part is fine. I get the jobs. I go pick them up. Sometimes there's not even anybody. They buzz me in. I just grab the dolly stuff, put it in my car, and drive home, and do everything from home. But the problem is that most of the clients are universities and schools, and even though they may have a grant to archive this stuff, there's nobody that can get into the school to package it up. So I suspect until they start opening up again, that it's going to be kind of a slow summer. As far as school, around spring break, which was the third week in March, I was thinking, well, we'll come back and I got a call. Now we're not. They were first going to try to move us into a bigger classroom. Where
right.
we had
I think we all thought this was going to be 2-3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah,
and then, no.
And truthfully, they weren't big enough classrooms, to do it. So we ended up doing the course as an online course, which for me was kind of fortunate because it was I was teaching 3 sections, but only one class, so it was the same class. I had to make a lot of videos because normally I would be there live and I'd be, doing the demos of the projects for the students. This is audio classes, and so they would see me do it and they would follow along with me. So I had to make a demo of this. But
what did the other professors do that didn't have your skill set, Doc? I mean,
I break it down step by step. It's like putting a piece of IKEA furniture together. You do this and then you do this and then and then students who were doing it, I was seeing better work than I saw when I was actually doing it live. I kind of missed the live, though. It's kind of like doing stand-up, when you're in front of a bunch of people,
So what was it like for the students? Have you talked to any of them and said how you guys hanging in there?
It's mixed. I have. Some of them it's mixed. Some of them said, this worked out for me. I mean, they only missed like the last 4 weeks, really, or five weeks of school. Some of them said, this doesn't work at all for me, Mm-hmm. Again, in my classes, I typically have, it's kind of the reverse of the normal bell-shaped curve. I have, where you have a lot of C's and very few A's and F's. I have a lot of A's, a lot of F's, and very few things in the middle. So students either do the work and do it really well, or they just kind of check out.
Are these electives? I mean, some of these are required classes, right? But
they are required. UC, the branch, the college at UC where I teach is kind of open enrollment. So they will accept just about anybody, but we don't worry so much about who gets in. We worry more about who gets out.
Sure. How do you expect things to change when COVID-19 is gone? I've been kind of asking these similar questions to the interviewees. I mean, it's got to change higher education. I think everything I'm reading, certainly from the colleges here in Chicago, is they're really concerned about enrollment.
I'm not aware of the enrollment numbers. I know that there's a trend. A lot of the colleges are kind of moving toward online. In some ways it's possible now because everybody has high-speed internet. Right. Again, I would prefer to teach live because I just like seeing the faces looking at me and but it's great not to commute. I mean, I like you were mentioning, I don't miss the commute. It wasn't that far really, but I still, when you drive, like sometimes early morning and it's dark and snowing and stuff, and you just don't really want to be out driving in that kind of weather.
You still straight down Coleraine to
I teach in Blue
Clifton?
Ash, so I take the Reagan, across to the east side of town.
Okay, gotcha. What about the conversion business? Will that change at all because of COVID-19? I think people.
I don't think so. I don't anticipate that. I think once people get back and can start sending the work. I mean, they're still getting the grants for this stuff.
Right.
And it's like preserving history. Like I said, I used to not care much about history, but now as I'm getting older, I said, oh yeah, I'm kind of part of history now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a little bit more sympathetic toward that.
Thanks, Doc. Really appreciate it. You taught us a bunch there. We know there are going to be a lot of changes, and you'll be ready for them. And
well, CB, thank you so much for your show. I really appreciate watching your show. It's great.
Well, thanks. See you next time, buddy.
You bet.
All right, guys. We'll move on to the U.S. economy. As I said, get ready for some great news. I mean, this is just wonderful stuff. Now, when I say great news, we're not setting any brand new records here. What we're doing is we got the NASDAQ positive 4.4% on the year. NASDAQ was down 38% 2 months ago. Okay? S&P still down, Dow is still down, Russell's still down. Russell was down almost 40%, so minus 16, that's pretty good. And the small caps are the ones that have the most risk, so not really concerned about that. Conference Board's I never use this full name, Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index, CCI is what we call it. Checked in at 86. Previous month was 85.7. So, okay, I've got a little bit under 1% of an improvement here, but that's good. The general takeaway is that attitudes about short-term outlook increasing are reflecting some optimism, and that's a good thing. New home sales increased 0.6%. Yeah, we'd love to see 3.5% to 4%, but in this environment, guys, that's really good. Takeaway from that, there's strength in sales, and yes, there were some lower prices in real estate, but that happens even in good economies. This is one of those charts that's gone straight down. This is new single-family home sales, and you see that drop in 2020. But if you look carefully at the chart, I want you to see there was a commensurate drop from 2018 to almost the beginning of 2019. So this pullback has not been that outrageous. It just hasn't been. And this is a really encouraging chart. The blue line is the S&P 500. The pink line is the ISE Home Builders Index. These guys are on fire. There has been pent-up demand, and because the Fed dropped interest rates, of course, back in February, and the Fed has pretty much said, we're not touching these interest rates anytime soon, people see that and they want to buy. They want to be in homes. I have one of my children just bought a brand new home, got a pretty good rate too. So they are building out there. They are building. U.S. mortgage applications rise for the 6th straight week. Gaze at that, folks. Now that we got slides on the screen here, we didn't have it for the first 10 episodes. U.S. mortgage applications rise for the 6th straight week. That is huge. It's huge. All right. April LEI, leading economic indicators, were down 4.4, but the anticipation was down 5.3. The prior month was down 6.7. Remember, a number that is less negative is a positive in a recession. We are still in a recession. We're in an interesting point because in February, we were in an economic expansion and we were in a bull market. In March, we were still in an economic expansion, but we were in a bear market. In April, the market turned into a bull market after being in a bear market for literally just days, the shortest amount of time in American history, probably world history. But then once we got the GDP for the first quarter, we were officially in a recession. So right now, we are in a bull market in a recession. It's crazy, but that's what it is. So personal consumption expenditures growth was revised up to minus 6.8 from minus 7.6. You guys got to get used to seeing negative numbers, but smaller negative is good. Non-residential fixed investment growth revised up 7.9 from 8.6. Government spending increased. Now, this is actually a good thing. This is actually a good thing to see government spending increase. So let me stop for a second and see if I got any questions here. Sometimes I just get on a roll here. Okay. Oh, I saw your commute earlier, Andre. Thank you. 15 minutes to work. Hey, Fran, good to have you from South Florida. 22 new homes being built in my neighborhood right now. Orange Blossom Estates, Fort Pierce. All right. That's good news. That's good news. Governor reopened bars today. That's good too. Well, the Georgia governor was first in the nation. Georgia is the experiment, I think, in this recovery process. And at some point, this governor is going to be interviewed for the history books, I'm sure. Indian River Estates. Thanks for correcting me, Fran. All right, guys. What do we got going on here? We still got more good news. All right. So, consumer confidence unexpectedly increased in May. I mentioned that. Not to be outdone. New home sales in April ticked higher. We are certainly in a recession, but it's looking more and more to me and to the president of the Dallas Fed, that the bottom is in. And that's a big deal. Hey, Tommy, welcome. Hey, Tommy, welcome, buddy. So what about you? Let's pause for a second here. What do you think about your future and America's future? Is the worst still to come, or is it looking more like the bottom is in? So you agree with the Fed and with me, or do you agree with some of the other media outlets saying, no, the worst is this is just a blip in a bear market. We're going back down. Nobody knows the answer to that, so there's no wrong answer. So now's your chance to chip in. What do you think, guys? I wish we had those polls. We don't have them. You can just click a button. So you got to type something so I know what's going on. So agree with you. Okay. Charles, thank you. Well, appreciate that. Anybody else? Is the worst still to come, or is it looking more like the bottom is in? The million-dollar question, what about inflation in the next few years? That's a great question. I'm going to give you my opinion. There is no way we're going to see inflation anytime soon. And while you guys are answering, I want to address this inflation issue. When I first started doing these 12 years ago, the number one question I got after the crash of 2008-9 is, now we're going to have rampant inflation. And I said, it's not going to happen. And for a lot of reasons that I can't go into right now, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Go back and listen to my videos from 12 years ago. And it never happened in that whole economic expansion. It's very hard to have inflation problems when we still have so many people out of work. It's just not likely. Will we be watching this? Yes. All right, let me see what I got here. iStudio starting to look up. Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Tom. Rex looking good. Yep, the bottom is in, says Alice. Kate Parker, the bottom is in. Good. Hey, from Montana. If cases go up, will the market correct again? Well, perhaps. Is the March 23rd low going to be revisited? On tape. Not in our lifetime. The March 23rd low of 2191 in the S&P will not be visited again in our lifetime. I could be wrong. And if I am, I'll come on the air here and say it. But that's how strongly I feel about it. So bottom is in, but not out of the woods. 8 to 12 pullback, that's fine. That's still not taking out the March 23rd. Thanks, Chris. That's reasonable. So, all right. More good data. U.S. hotel occupancy. U.S. hotel occupancy, guys. Granted, it's still down from where it was a year ago, but look at this bump off the April lows. I mean, it's increasing. It is increasing. It's a good thing. This is kind of complicated to look at on the screen, but here's the number we need to look at. CapEx expenditures. CapEx is a short name for capital expenditures. So some of the media is telling you, oh, business is shut down. Nobody's expanding. Nobody's spending money. Nobody's doing anything. Okay, well, according to this chart from the Daily Shot, and it's also backed up by the Wall Street Journal, and I will have more corroborative sources the next time this is published. But you can see that this dip down that happened wasn't as bad as 2008. So for this to go down and be as bad as 2008 means that we would likely revisit that March 23rd low if the entire bottom falls out of the economy. I just don't see it, folks. I just don't see it. And we're not investing as if the bottom is going to fall out. Sports are coming back. Sports are coming back. The NBA looks like somebody's going to correct me here. Probably Chris. Tell me the dates on when the NBA is going to do their championship. But I think it's going to be this summer and probably head into the fall. We're going to have all these sports overlapping. We're going to have baseball in December. We're going to have basketball in, I don't know, September, October. But it doesn't matter. People want normality. They want to get back to celebrating life. And we are big apostles of that here at CB3 CMT Live. We want America to return to its greatness, and we want the American spirit to return to its greatness as well. The number of passengers screened at U.S. TSA airport checkpoints. Where would you get this data? You have to go to the TSA's website. That looks like a good number to me, folks. Now, you might be saying, Charlie, normally we have about 1.5 million people on airlines every day. You are correct. And the best day we had here was just short of 350. But compared to what we had in early April or March, this is an improvement. I'm excited about that data. U.S. mobility, so people traveling. This is actually from TomTom and Descartes data. People stopped traveling. Now they're back out on the roads and becoming more mobile. They're actually tracking this by the day. So we have certain days, you may find that the busier days, Friday's always going to be rush hour, I'm sure, but patterns will change. Patterns will change with the American consumer. We really don't know what's up ahead as far as the proclivities of the American public and what they're going to want to do or not want to do once this pandemic is over, especially dependent upon when the vaccinations are introduced. Road traffic, great number. Yeah, it was down 70, but now third week of May, data, all I have is third week of May, down only 58%. Good data. People are returning to normality. Unemployment rate, not great for these states. They had an unemployment rate, the blue numbers where they were before the pandemic, and now the black line is where they are now. So Alaska, Idaho, Kansas, these are among the worst states, and some of these are red states, some red, some blue. Reality is that none of these numbers are 25, 30%. This is not the Great Depression. You had 25, 30% unemployment rates in many states in the Great Depression. All right, we're not seeing that right now. So the Trump administration is examining the idea of back-to-back work bonuses. This is a controversial topic. Senator Rob Portman said that he would like to provide a $450 a week bonus for unemployed workers to return to work. So in addition to being paid more than they were earning in many cases, we're now going to give workers an incentive to come back to work. I think that's kind of crazy. And I'd like to know what you think about it. Do you think that our U.S. government should have to pay people to go back to work, or should they be expected to do so given the free benefits that they've received? There's no right or wrong answer here, but I'd love you guys to weigh in. Let me check the message board here while you're giving me an answer. Jimmy, worse is still to come. So you think we're going to take out that March 23rd low? Let me know. Type it in here. Yes, I am confident. Very much so. Nellie, don't miss sports at all. Candidly, I don't either, but a lot of people do. The NFL draft, Chris, help me out. The NFL draft, I think, drew 33 million people. Just like half of the Super Bowl, maybe a third of the Super Bowl is a crazy number. Air traffic definitely going up. And yeah, you live in Atlanta, so you know what it is. ATL, biggest airport in America, maybe the world. Anybody, do you think we should have to pay people to go back to work? Any opinions on that? You don't have to have an opinion if you don't. Some people currently making more on unemployment than their jobs. Yeah, I talked about that in last week's episode. Laughing out loud. Of course not. It's not right. Thank you, Andre. Okay. Should not have to be paid to go back to work. 46 million, I presume that means, okay, for the watching the NFL draft. Hey, I'm all about, I'm a Second Amendments guy. I don't own a gun myself. But I'm all for, the people that want to do that. It's in the Constitution. Amendments, I should say. Yeah, something to think about. So what kind of incentive could they create? We'll be seeing what happens over this next week. Why don't we do that? We'll see what happens over the next week, and maybe we'll bring it up again sometime. I'd like to finish this section showing the current earnings. So if you can see here now, 485 of the 500 S&P 500 companies have reported, only 15 left. 66 have been above expectations. 66% 5% have matched and 30% below. Now that sounds like a pretty good data, but that number's normally about 74 above. Wall Street likes to announce low and surprise to the upside. They do not want a surprise to the downside because that's usually what causes them to open 8% lower the next day. So this is not a great number, and I'm expecting this to be actually much worse when we start having second quarter earnings. That comes out in July, but we will see. So I like this quote from one of our viewers. "We have built America on a knife's edge. How fragile is this race of people and therefore the things we build. We are and have always been but one election from ruin." So I have a question for you. Can any of you tell me what city this is? Well, I'm looking in the text here. Should not have to be paid back. Thanks, Rex. Appreciate that. For those that receive no unemployment benefits, I not mind if they receive extra pay to return to work. If they receive no unemployment benefits, yes, that makes sense. Thanks, Fran. That's a good case example. Appreciate it. People get more money for going back to work. Those of us have to work should be getting something too. Yeah. Don says we don't want the government's help with anything. It's full bore agriculture, Montana. Good. $600 co-fed will end July 30th. Oh, very good, Kate. You know the city. I'm impressed. I'll give you guys one more picture. All right. Well, you can see in the chat there that Kate got it right. Here's what I want to say. We have no guarantee that we will be the preeminent, predominant country in the world. There are always people out there wanting to be number one.
Before 1960, Dubai was just a desert. But the ruler of Dubai has changed its face. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum is the ruler of the Emirate of Dubai. He has made Dubai one of the best cities in the world.
What are you trying to do here? What do you want this place to be?
I want it to be number one. Not in the region, but in the world.
What do you mean number one in the world?
In everything. High education, health, housing. Just making my people the highest way of living.
Dubai has become so famous that most people around the world think of it as a country. But it is not a state, it's just a city in the United Arab Emirates. A city that was a desert a few years ago. Everyone has heard about the Burj Khalifa. But the ruler of Dubai is bored with it now. So he's building the Dubai Creek Tower. It is said to be completed by 2021. Its height will be 1,300 meters. Burj Khalifa's height is 830 meters compared to it. Dubai is the world's largest construction site. Dubai's growth is faster than any other city in the world. Before 1960, Dubai was nothing. But then oil was found in Dubai, and its destiny was changed. But Dubai doesn't rely on oil money now. In fact, Dubai's current earning from oil is less than 5% of its GDP. Dubai has become the trading hub for the world. Only 15% of Dubai's population are Arabs. The 85% population of Dubai are foreigners working in the country. More than 60% of the population are from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. In 1990, there was only one skyscraper in Dubai. The World Trade Center. Now there are a total of 148 skyscrapers. And 917 high-rise buildings in Dubai. Police in Dubai uses supercars, such as Aston Martin 177, Audi R8, Bentley Continental GT, Bentley Bentayga, and many more. Dubai never settles for number 2. The Dubai Mall is the world's biggest shopping mall. It has 1,200 stores in total. Dubai's Palm Jumeirah is the world's largest man-made island. The only 7-star hotel in the world, Burj Al Arab, is in Dubai. The ruler of Dubai wanted Disneyland in Dubai that would be bigger than Disneyland in America. But Disneyland rejected the proposal. So he built Dubailand. It is 2.5 times bigger than Disneyland. More than 200,000 visitors are seen here. The ruler of Dubai's vision has made Dubai what it is today. Where there were only deserts a few years ago, there are only skyscrapers now.
Why do you want everything to be the biggest, the tallest?
Steve, why not? Why not? If you can have it in New York, what can we have it here?
Why are you in such a hurry? Most people would try and do all of this in a lifetime, not in 5 years.
I want my people to live better life now, to go to the high school now, to go to the good healthcare now, not after 20 years.
Before 1960 Dubai.
Well, guys, if I were that man, I would say the same thing. I want the best for my country too. But I don't believe that this particular man wants the best for this country in which I live. So when we hear people complaining about how bad this government is and how unresponsive they've been to this pandemic, and there have been lots of mistakes, I understand that. Just realize that there are other countries out there that are looking for weakness to take advantage of that. So we all have to be really careful. All right, on the investment side this week, I don't have a ton. Mainly what I wanted to do is kind of educate you guys on a topic here, and that's short selling. I know that we have some short sellers in our group here. I want to talk about Tesla and Peloton. These are two stocks that we own. We are long, meaning we own them. One of the sources of buyers for this stock, when you buy a stock, you want to have a lot more buyers, right? You don't want to have a ton of sellers because then the price goes down. You want to know that there are more buyers coming in. So you need to get in as early as you can without being too early. And that's the tricky part, of course, about what we do. But Tesla has what's called a short percentage of float. This is the number of shares out there that are issued but are held short. And that's 20%. Peloton, which is a company we just picked up, which is home exercise, which is a huge industry, I think, that's going to really give a challenge to Planet Fitness and other local fitness places. You know, I don't know how that's going to shake out. We'll know a lot more when we're doing this show in November and December. But that's a lot of guaranteed buyers. And I want to make sure you guys understand what this means. So I have an interest as a portfolio manager in looking for stocks that have high short interest, because I know at some point when you sell first, eventually you're going to have to buy. You're going to have to cover those, because we buy first as investors and sell afterwards, hopefully at a higher price. But the short sellers, they sell first. And how they do that's complicated for this broadcast, but I can explain it if you're interested. And then they cover or buy back, hopefully at a lower price. They want the stock to go down. And we need both parties to keep a liquid market. But I know that when a stock has a high short interest, that there's people out there, especially Peloton, 45% are expecting that stock to go lower. Well, I am bullish on Peloton, and I've got guaranteed buyers up there. All right? That makes sense? Any questions in the chat box? What do you think of the Hong Kong situation today, impact on global banking? Great question. I need to deal with that one next week because that's a long answer. Thanks for that, though, Nellie. Nellie's referring to, I think you're referring to the fact that we don't even know if Hong Kong is an autonomous entity as of just a few days ago. The Chinese, if they were to reappropriate Hong Kong, won't put out a bulletin saying, oh, by the way, we've decided to take this back. They won't roll their tanks in. They'll just kill the independence. And yes, it will affect the financial markets if indeed that is true. It's been announced by our government, but not corroborated by the Chinese. Not that I would expect that they would do that. The second of our investments, I still am talking about the NASDAQ. I mean, we're looking this week just on the move up. QQQ is the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ is up 24% over this fixed period of time, and the Dow over the same year is just up 2%. I mean, it's just a crazy difference because the technology, the big mega caps, the FANGs as they're called, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google are what's driving this market higher. Tech was a huge winner in the surge in 2019 and up to February 19th of 2020. And it's been a relative winner during the downturn that began on February 20th, and ended on March 23rd. At least it's ended for now for those of you who think things are going to get worse. So let me ask you one last question here. What are your thoughts on stock purchases for June? Whether you're a client of mine or even if you are, some people I know have, their own accounts on the side. What are you looking for? Are you looking for conservative stocks? Are you looking for growth stocks? Are you looking for more cash? You're looking for CDs. If you're looking for a CD and you can find one that pays more than 0.5%, I would be astounded. If inflation is, roughly 2%, you're losing money on that. But at any rate, what are you guys looking for? Type in the box here. Okay, growth, all caps, Tom. All right, that gets a yowza. Innovative, yeah, innovation is right. Absolutely. So you guys like that idea of the protector that goes up on the face and the little cover so that your glasses don't get foggy? I mean, that's it. Semiconductors growth. Yeah, we have several semi stocks. We sometimes buy the industry ETF on that. Growth stocks, market's going back up. We think so. Growth. Okay, so growth's kind of winning here, guys. Anybody just standing aside, want to be in cash? Yeah. Okay. Well, the clients of ours are fully invested. Now we have reason to believe that things are going to continue this way, but if not, we'll make adjustments. We saw this as an aberration, an absolute financial aberration, because the cause of the crash was a health aberration. I mean, once every 100 years, pretty tough to plan on that. Okay. So new trade ideas, really just, thanks, Andre, 0 in cash. We keep 1% in cash just to be able to, manage if we want to trade in and out of something. Sometimes we have slippage and we need to have that. But we're still looking at Moderna. Vaccination results have been very positive, but they're unbelievably volatile. So you really have to try to catch them in a technical way on a pullback to the 20-day moving average, or at a time when people that bought at the very top panic when they see it going down, and those are the people, weak hands essentially, that we want to buy from because they're selling at a weak level. But it's until we get some kind of clarity on who's going to win this vaccination battle, and truthfully, it could be multiple companies that win this vaccination battle, and that would be pretty exciting too. We talked last week about Sanofi and the U.S. government funding them, and President Macron of France getting all upset with his native Sanofi company that, hey, you can't give the U.S. the first vaccinations, and they're going, hey, they funded it. So politics, right? Interesting times, guys. And then, of course, Twilio, still interested in this one. Another super volatile stock. All these NASDAQ stocks, guys, why do you think the NASDAQ's up 24% and the Dow's up 2% and the Russell's negative? Because these high technology flyers are what's moving the market. It's where the money should be and is. We are a technology-driven world. And when I say technology, I'm not talking about phones and the computers in your car, but technology in medicine, technology in artificial intelligence, technology in communications. The countries that have that, that's why the Abu Dhabi guy was talking the way he was. Dubai, he wants to be a technology center of the world, and that's fine. We can live with competition, but it's happening here in America, and we're really excited about that. I try to end here with something I've discovered that's really interesting. So as we are closed in here, if you guys check this out, just snap this on your screen or write it down. I'll leave it up there for a second. This is a museum in Spain, and their three-dimensional renditions of things are just amazing. But look at the last line: enjoy art in a safe environment. That's where I'm seeing the music entities. I mentioned that in last week's episode, where we've got the Berlin Philharmonic offering weekly concerts. I went to a concert in Berlin last week. It was Saturday at 1 because it was Saturday at 7 p.m. for them. Okay? Sorry, getting comments here. And that's really the change. That's what we're seeing, that people are finding ways to get culture, to get arts, to get expression on the internet. And the entities that rise up to do that, and this is one of them, I'm kind of killing time here so you guys can jot this down. I hope you'll check it out. Let me go back and see if I've missed anything here. I probably have. So I'm still impressed you guys got Dubai. That's really cool. Chris says that too. Kate got that. Don, okay. And then Nelly, your comments on the guy. Yeah, he's not somebody you want to have to dinner, more than likely. Already commented on Hong Kong that we need to find out more about what that really is. What I have in cash will be staying there for now. Got it. Okay, so Fran, you got a cash nest egg there. Okay, that's great. Flight to safety in the queues. Yeah, so that's Chris. What he means by that is that if you're going to go into one of the larger indexes, the QQQs, which is the NASDAQ, is a safer place to be than the S&P or the Dow or the Russell 2000 or even the Vanguard 10,000. So thanks for that feedback. I think many companies will produce vaccinations like the multiple antibody tests, and they are still not reliable. Yeah, there's just a lot to figure out here. Too much screen time. Do you think the naked short selling will finally be addressed and corrected? That's a tough topic. I am just like I'm a fan of the Second Amendment. I don't own a gun. We need short selling. Naked short selling does not mean people show up nude, folks, so that you don't understand the trading term. It means you're trading options without having a protective. You're not spreading options. But we can do let me cover that next time, Charles. I will. I appreciate that. You've asked. I've seen a couple of your posts that you've sent me on that. So. You guys got this link though? This is a really cool thing, and you're going to find more of them out there. I got tons of them to send you every week. Okay. So this is a really cool, just a great image here of a field out in the Midwest somewhere where they've turned it into an American flag. And I just think it's amazing. And this, the dog finally got to the vet. There's human stories all throughout this pandemic. And he's just, coming up here and, kissing the vet that healed him. So anyway, so my summary for tonight is our slogan that we've used. For we have not been given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. I want to say that again. And you can see the source down in the lower left-hand corner. For we have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. It is my deeply held belief that we will not only survive this pandemic, but we will emerge stronger as individuals and as a nation. And I believe our faith will be stronger as well. Any last questions, guys? Anything before we sign off here? Hey, thanks, Tom. I appreciate you saying that. Guys, I never take for granted that you're here. I really, really appreciate you being here and your questions. I hope it's a great week for you. May God bless you. We'll see you in a week.